Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. It's been way too long and I'm so excited to be back in action. Here we go. So, first of all, what we are taking a look at in this show today was a gift from my friend Fardamark. Check out his channel. And what's gonna be really cool about this is as I continue down the rabbit hole of 8-track, we're taking another step forward today in that we are going to be able to record on 8-track, something I've never done before. Now, it always cracks me up anytime I do anything about 8-track or show anything about 8-track, there's always a few people that are very vocal in their opinion that they hate 8-track, it was never good, etc., etc. It sounds terrible, even though we've, kind of disproven that and talked about how it can be a good high fidelity format, especially home components or well maintained, etc., etc. So there will be those people out there. For the rest of us that are open to the idea, I have no bias because I didn't grow up with this. I never had it. It's completely new to me, etc., etc. So, I know a lot of people, my dad included, when they think of 8-track, they think of, their car that had a under the dash Spark-O-Matic or some kind of cheap 8-track player and tapes that were sun-baked and just didn't sound good. But what we've talked about on the show before are really like the inside home hi-fi type of stuff and some portable stuff as well. Anyway, we're going to take a look at this. We're going to review it. We're going to open it up and look at it, see how it works, clean it up, all that good stuff. Anyway, you are not going to want to miss this. Welcome to Record-ology. All right, so in the past, I have not been somebody that's been super excited to get into 8-track. In fact, it was you guys that got me interested in the format, and I kind of sort of went on this rabbit trail. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. So my first 8-track machine was the realistic 8-track, and we reviewed that. It's sort of a very base model, play-only deck. It doesn't even have a line output. I have to use a headphone jack from the headphone jack and cable it to a line input on speakers or an amp or whatever. And because of that, I have to control the volume output so that we can approximate a line level voltage. It's running a tad bit slow, but it's sort of my main player up until today. And then also we have that awesome Panasonic TNT portable unit, which just broke. There's a little roller that allows it to align the tape properly and position it properly, and it snapped in two. So now the tape is too loose in the compartment to properly play. So I need to replace that. That's going to be a future show for a future day. So it was a great time for a new 8-track machine to arrive. And my friend Fardamark, like I said, gifted this to us. And I'm very, very thankful. But yeah, so here we have a fully featured mid-70s, I'd say 1974, 1975. We'll probably verify it once we open it up and look at the date code on the motor. But this is a full record and playback stereo 8-track machine. And as you can see, it personifies the 1970s from a design aesthetic. We've got this sort of marbled rough texture black plastic with the fake chrome trim on everything. I mean, this is the 1970s design aesthetic. So it's got a really cool lit up VU meter there, which I'm excited to check out. Obviously the record capability does have an electronic eject, which is something I haven't had before. And yeah, this ought to be really, really cool. It's got mic inputs over there, headphone amplifier right there. Of course, wood grain, absolutely, why not? And on the back, it's just a simple RCA in and output. This is the RS-806. And from what I understand in the research that I did do, this was a very common 8-track machine, and they are known to be pretty well built and still around to this day, as evidenced by this example right here. I'm just looking for a functional 8-track machine that is reliable, quality components, and to be able to record sounds like fun. I think that would be really, really cool. One of the tips that Fardamark, my friend, gave to me was that when you are setting up your file to record to the format, to amplify the highs and a little bit the lows, but mostly the highs, it kind of overcomes the muddiness that can be associated with this format. With that process, he's able to create some amazing high fidelity 8-track tapes, which we reviewed and we're going to listen to right here as well. So let's start by demonstrating it. This is literally out of the box. I haven't played with it at all. I haven't even plugged it in. So I've got this sound bar connected as a test speaker for right now. Eventually I plan to install this in my component system and replace that realistic. So yeah, I mean, this should be good. These are, known to do a really good thing. Now, if I plug this in, watch what happens. By the way, have you guys ever noticed, to those of you that, have been into 8-track, how long the cord is? I've had two, but both 8-track decks that I've had both have these oddly long cords. So I'm going to plug this in, and it's going to come to life, which is weird because most 8-track decks don't have a power switch on them because they're activated. The power switch is, activated when you turn the unit on. However, this one is on when I plugged it in, which is odd. There's no tape in there, but it's on. It's because this record switch got pressed. So I'm at a little bit of a loss. By the way, check out the beautiful VU meters there. I'm a little bit of a loss as to what to do. I'm a little nervous to stick in our test tape here, which is also by Fardamark, this awesome custom-made mixtape. Check out the branding there, just top of the line. I mean, full, fresh tape stock. As far as I know, I think he uses fresh tape stock. The splice is brand new. I don't want this to get recorded over because there's, from what I understand, again, I'm a newbie here, I'm not an expert, I don't think there's any record protection available for an 8-track. So you could stick an album in there and it would be happy to record on that just as much as a blank. So we're going to start with the blank, which is this guy right here. This is new old stock BASF 90-minute tape. Now, one thing to consider with new old stock tape like this, you may think to yourself, well, first of all, let me back up. It's fairly common knowledge that all 8-track tapes are prone to issues with the splice, and you want to either reinforce that splice or you want to replace it pretty much right away. That looks cool. But you may be thinking, well, it's a new old stock tape. You don't have that problem. When it comes to this kind of stuff, this old tape, it's essentially like a used tape. So you want to consider it compromised like you would an album, a period 8-track tape that has been played and played and played for decades and may have a compromised splice, just to be on the safe side. What I'll probably do, rather than replace the splice, is just reinforce it with some splicing tape on the back of the splice. For today's purposes, we're just going to, as my son says, yeet it. We're just going to go for it. So I'm going to stick this in with the hopes that I can stop the record cycle that it's on by pressing the eject button, which doesn't work, and that's awesome. So not 100% sure where we're at here. I can switch programs. And see, this is bizarre too, because it's on what's called pan select mode or pan eject mode. And the way this works is when you have it set to this, it goes through all 4 tracks and then ejects when it reaches the last track, and it's not doing that. So as I select 3 and then 4, as soon as I hit this again, it should eject because it's going back to the cycle. It's acting as though it's on this mode, which is continuous play. So, no, I didn't have it pushed in all the way. Okay, good news. So it started playing. It took the record out of place. Now let me try just to put this back on pan eject mode. We're going to go through these. And now it's really, oh, it's not in play? It should, why is it not showing the, very interesting, I'm going to eject it. Okay, so now it's in the off cycle. Tape is still intact, which is a good sign. This has new original pads, which I wonder, are they already mushed up? Yeah. See, look, never been played, and the pad is already, the integrity of that sponge is just gone. But this is weird. And notice how far in the tape goes, too, compared to the kind where you just yank it out. It's got the electronic eject. Okay. You know what? Let's go ahead and put in the mixtape. So we're putting in our mixtape. And turn up our volume. Okay. Let me turn up the volume on the speaker too. Again, this is just for testing purposes. Got sound coming out of the left channel only. Let me switch tracks. Okay, we've got issues. What is this? Oh, fast forward. It's also pretty rare to find a 8-track deck with a fast forward switch. Yeah, it's not selecting tracks. The eject is working. That is weird. Oh, wait, you know what? I bet the volume control for the left. There we go. Okay, see, I'm learning as I go here. I'm learning as I go. Separate left and right channel volume controls. I didn't even pay attention to that. Okay, so both channels are working. Now, it would be nice to switch tracks, wouldn't it? Do I need to push hard? Okay, so we'll get in there and look at that. There'll be a solenoid that controls that. So at this point in time, it's partially working. We've got it reset to the correct off cycle. All right, next let's go ahead and open it up and see if we can figure out why it's not switching tracks, and just to take a look inside. I hadn't shown you guys the bottom yet, but there's a lot of these anchor points. And the way that these are constructed, I say these like I have some experience, but between this and the only other component unit I've ever played with, which is that realistic sound design. I always call it realistic, but it's sound design. They operate on this kind of sleeve principle where the guts are kind of part of this metal chassis that sits inside sort of this wooden sleeve. Now that one seemed to come out a lot easier. This one, I think I'm going to have to remove all of these anchor points in order to remove. So I'm not going to do that today. However, I'm going to get the camera in here and we're going to take as good of a look as possible. The main thing that we need access to solve our problem is actually pretty accessible, and it's this solenoid right here. Let's see. And you can actually actuate it. And we're going to get a better shot of this in a minute, but you can actuate it right now by hand and switch those tracks. So we'll be able to see everything we need to see. We can check the belt, everything from this with just the back panel off. So let me reposition the camera and we'll take a closer look. Okay, so starting left to right here in this housing up in the upper left-hand corner, that is going to be the power transformer. There is the input-output panel. This is a plastic panel with, you know, regular non-gold contacts, pretty typical for the time. Looking in the unit there, you can see it's pretty tight. There is the motor itself. I don't see an obvious date code on there. So I see on the side C2DC14. Possibly 74, first month of 74. That's kind of the consensus for what year this came out. But you can see these brackets. So see how that bracket is screwed into the cabinet as well as back there? Part of me thinks that this piece right here is almost like on a shelf system that would slide out of these brackets. I'm not 100% sure on that, but again, I don't want to go destroying things that I don't need to. Let's take a closer look in there. It's kind of hard to see much. Let me try to get focus. So there's the back of the head. The wire, look how tight the wire is a bit above the tape compartment as well. This one has a pretty unique tape mechanism in that the tape goes very far in, and once the tape is in, it's pretty well enclosed. So there is the solenoid that I was just talking about. So this is what changes the head position. Now, as I click that, watch back here. See, as I actuate that, it changes the head. You're looking at the back of the head into one of the different 4 positions. So what I want to try first with the back cover off is I want to try changing programs and see if that is actuating whatsoever. There's another cam underneath, and that cam actuates the eject mechanism. There is the motor, pulley, and the belt. The belt is in good condition, etc., etc. But really, we want to find out why it's not changing tracks. So let's go ahead and plug it in and hit that track select and see what happens. The deck is powered on. I'm going to insert the tape on the other side, which is hard to do, blind. And so it is playing. I don't have the audio connected. It's not necessary for this test. But next, I am going to be switching tracks. So it's doing something. It's like it's not... Okay, now it's shut off. I hit the eject button by accident. I didn't hit the eject button by accident. What I did was I advanced past track 4 when it was in the auto off position. So I turned that off, and look, it is actuating. See the head? It's doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm not sure if it was acting up a minute ago because we were trying to change tracks and the music didn't change. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but I think it's working. So we're going to close it back up. We're going to test it again. Then we're going to do a test recording. And that will be, my friends, the first time I have ever recorded anything on 8-track. So this is kind of exciting. Okay, it seems to be working good. I don't know why I was having issues switching tracks earlier because it works perfectly fine now. I don't know. Sometimes after shipping, stuff kind of just acts up for a period of time, but this seems to be working perfectly fine, including the electronic eject there. We've already demonstrated that the pan eject feature works, the fast forward works. Haven't checked the headphone yet. Also, eventually, at some point down the road, I'm going to do a direct feed sound test so you guys can hear the sound quality. Maybe we'll compare the different decks that we have at this point. Can't believe we have multiple ones. But the next thing, the main thing we want to do is take advantage of at least testing this record feature. So being that this is a record play deck, we are going to make a recording. Now, recording an 8-track tape is a little tricky because you don't have the ability to rewind. There's not really, a defined start point to the tape. It's a continuous loop. So we need to come up with 90 minutes of music and record 90 minutes of music. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to kind of find and come back to the start of our recording. So I'm going to set up an audio source just for testing purposes today, and we're going to record it. It'll take 90 minutes, and then I will be back to show you the results. But let me show you my recording setup first. It just occurred to me I hadn't really given you the money shot here, looking inside the cartridge tape opening. So yeah, this definitely goes a lot further back than the kind of decks where you just rip the tape out when you're done. You can see the capstan back there. You can see the head, and it has a nice metal head bracket, which I'm very thankful for because the Realistic with its plastic head bracket meant that it needed to be reinforced, which we did do. So this one is, just like people say, it's excellent build quality from what I can see so far. I am going to need to get in there and clean those heads eventually as well. But just for the sake of initial out-of-the-box testing purposes, we're going to let it record as is. Okay, there is some irony in this, in that this very modern internet radio from Ocean Digital has the same wood cabinet designed basically as this old 70s 8-track player, which I love. So for a source audio, I was going to use compact discs. I had some of these Reader's Digest compact discs that I thought would be fairly content ID matching friendly, meaning that YouTube wouldn't content ID match it. But my Sony CD player with the line output is MIA. I have no idea where it is. My Kenwood says it's in a hold position even when it's not. And besides, I don't want to be changing out CDs to get 90 minutes of source audio. So I figured internet radio, great idea. The downside is, this is, music that I'm only going to be able to use for my own personal use because I'm recording it off of the radio, as it were. In this case, I'm recording from a Patsy Cline radio station that plays nothing but Patsy Cline. This has a line output on the back here, which we reviewed this in the past. If you want to go check that video out, look up Ocean Digital, and you'll find an internet radio video review. We've done a few of their products. They have cool stuff. Going into the line input on the back of this, I think that this has an automatic line level, meaning that you can't adjust the record levels. I could be wrong. Sometimes the volume knobs will serve as that. The fact that there are independent volume controls for left and right channels makes me think that may be the case, or it might just be automatic level control. So I'm going to let this thing record. It is a 90-minute tape, so it's going to be 4 22-minute tracks approximately. So let's go ahead and just insert the tape. It'll start playing by default, and then I'm going to hit record. I wonder, do I have to hit record before I push it in? Okay, so I think we're recording now. I'm not seeing anything on the VU meter. So I'm wondering here, I'm also not getting any throughput to the speaker. Yeah, these knobs don't seem to impact the volume going in, at least not that is displayed here on the VU meter. And when we were playing back a tape, I didn't really get much feedback, or I didn't get much action on these VU meters as well. So they may be kind of worn out, I'm not sure. Ultimately though, it's what you hear, so that's okay. Scooting down the line here a little bit, you will see our record button is depressed. The little record light is activated. So I'm just gonna let this thing roll through. I wonder if I leave this on continuous play, will this just keep recording over and over and over again? Do I need to hit, I'm gonna put this down to pan eject, so hopefully in record mode that means that it will spit the tape out. Although we're already on track 4, so I'm probably already screwing this up as it is. So maybe I should leave that off for right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making this up. I love the record light. It kind of reminds me, let me tilt this up a tad bit. Probably shouldn't do this, but it kind of reminds me of those on-air lights like you see in movies, like radio stations and movie studios. On-air recording. I think that's kind of cool. So, all right. I'm going to let this roll for 90 minutes, and we'll see if we got ourselves a recording. Okay. It has come to pass that this tape has been recorded on something, hopefully the signal we were feeding into it, for 90 minutes. In fact, the tape and the tape deck are in the state that I found it 90 minutes after I started the recording, and that is the off position, because I had it set to the pan eject. Did I? No, I had it set to continuous play, but it still ejected the tape when it got done recording all 4 tracks. About 22 minutes per track, ejected the tape, and like I said earlier, when the tape is out, the deck is off because there's nothing to do with it if the tape's not in. So we're gonna plug this in. I got the speaker on off camera here. Again, this will be mono for you. I'm just using my vocal mic. So in a future show, we'll maybe do a direct feed and stuff. Let's see if we got anything on tape. Okay, so far I got nothing. Yeah, nothing. Oh, I hear something quiet, very quiet. Very quiet, inaudibly quiet. Yeah. So it did record, but it's so quiet. So I'm wondering now if this isn't an automatic level input. Maybe I do need to adjust these up. I'll have to experiment. Okay, so let me try recording again and see if I can get it working. So, as it turns out, the VU meters are fine, and those volume knobs are indeed the level control for the recording. This deck has now 2 times not worked on certain features. The first time I tried it, and then worked again later. So again, maybe it's just, getting acclimated, getting used to it, dust in the knob, hard to say, et cetera, but I am pretty confident we're recording a good signal right now. Rather than wait a whole another 90 minutes, let me record 1 track's worth, so 20 minutes, and then I should be able to shift back to that track again and give it a listen, and we'll see if we can get some good sound recorded onto this tape, which I believe is happening now, and then played back. Okay, we have finally made it to where I can demonstrate a recording. So here we go. You hit play, it was in fast forward. It takes a minute to come up to speed, but we got sound. fast forward some more. Interesting, the VU meters don't seem to do much on playback. I've seen that before on other devices. It may just take a lot of sound pressure, like you may have to have the volume quite up high. The good and most important thing is they give you an accurate representation of the signal being recorded. So that is key. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, my friend Fardemark said that you really need to prep your recordings with a lot of high end to kind of overcome the muddiness of the format, older tape heads, worn tape heads, stuff like that. I didn't do that for this test. We'll do that in the future. This was just, compressed streaming audio for the pure purpose of testing its ability to record. Yeah, definitely got good audio on there. I mean, it sounds bright. It sounds like there's good, there's a good volume, there's a good level on the tape. The signal to noise ratio seems to be appropriate. All good things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with this, experimenting with it some more in the future. Good stuff. So yeah, I'm very, very happy and very, very thankful to have this unit. And if you're interested in 8-track, they're out there. They're not as plentiful by any means as record players, but if you keep your eyes peeled, 2 to 3 weeks, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, you'll find something. Otherwise, eBay's always got something. And there's people that still service this stuff. There's this YouTube channel I think it's called like Barry's 8-track Repair. That's a cool channel. There's a lot of people that know a lot about this format. I am not one of them. But we'll see more of this unit in the future, and I hope you enjoyed this look at this interesting 70s Panasonic 8-track recording device. All right, my friends, and that is going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this show. It was a lot of fun. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Consider joining the Vinyl Nation. Check out our merch. Lots of cool stuff for you guys to do. Would love for you to be a part of it. Anyway, we will be back soon with another show. But until then, happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.